good morning, everyone, and thanks for attending this important press conference. This is a sort of a sad day for the city of Warren for a lot of reasons, but I want to thank everyone for attending this press conference. And also, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to the Howland Police Department and their detective unit for its swift and thorough investigation into this matter. As you all know, regardless of how disappointed we are, I think we can all attest that the system, in this case, actually worked. And unfortunately, as it relates to our community, the issue of race was injected into the narrative by Mr. Linnen. And I'd like to point out that I've talked to several men and women on the Warren Police Department and members of the community, and they are, particularly our Warren Police Department, the officers and the men and women of that department are particularly upset as well. As you all know, and you can look by looking around this room, the Warren Police Department and the community as a whole has invested a lot of time, resources, and training into improving the relations between the police department and the community. And we're just as determined moving forward to not let this one incident let us take a step back. And I want to emphasize that. We've come a long way and we're not going back, and we're not going to let one incident deter all of the hard work that was put in by a lot of people, not only in this room, but in the community as a whole. I'd like to emphasize before I turn it over that as soon as we saw the case unfolding and the results of the investigation, we began our process with our Human Resources Department, the disciplinary process, almost immediately. And I'd like to thank Director Colbert for initiating that. Once again, the process worked. We have a lot of work to do moving forward, but I believe in the men and women in this department and also in the community who have the best interest of the community in their hearts, that will be a part to continue to move forward and work together so that we put this day behind us and that we make sure that nothing like this happens again. So I want to, at this point, turn it over to Chief Merkel, and you would like to comment?
Well, as the mayor said, he's saddened and disappointed. I'm more angry and disgusted that we had a Warren police officer traffic stop, or not traffic stop, but it's pull over to assist what he claimed to be a disabled vehicle, and exchanged gunfire with a black male during a robbery attempt, which, as we know now, was all a complete hoax. He has rocked the foundations of community relations that we have here in the city of Warren with our community. He certainly doesn't represent the men and women of this police department who come to work every day and serve this community with professionalism, honor, and integrity. There are systems in place during the hiring process. There was no reason to believe that this officer would have acted out like this. People were responding to this scene. Police officers, from what I'm understanding, close to 50 marked police officers were, pushing people off the roadway to get over there to back this officer up in what they believed was a true story. Black males were traffic stopped in dark-colored SUVs in the area. I mean, it's outrageous. Make no bones about that. But this officer, he went through the hiring process, the background, the psychological, the polygraph. He was interviewed by Human Resources, Safety Service Director, the police department, the command staff. He was a commander at the YSU Police Academy. I mean, a standout in all accounts. No prior discipline, no public complaints in the 2 years that he's been here. So we had no reason to believe that this would have happened. We have systems in place to monitor officer behavior, and there was no red flag in those systems that we have in place at the police department that would have identified this officer as being a problem. I want to publicly apologize to the community. It is a huge setback from all the work that our men and women have done with the community, and we're going to move forward from this. He doesn't represent the Warren Police Department, and that's not what we stand for. We've done a lot of work with Tom Conley, the Urban League, the NAACP, to rebuild the relationships that have crumbled over the years here in the city. And I think we've done unbelievable work with that, and we're going to continue to work with them to make things better. I want to thank the Howland Police Department for their investigation that, 8 days later, he's in the Trumbull County Jail. I mean, I can't ask for any more than that. We're in the process of working through the termination. We should have charges delivered to him in a disciplinary hearing set within hopefully today, and he'll be terminated certainly by the end of the week through the collective bargaining agreement. And we're going to move on from this. Again, I want to thank Howland PD, and I ask that the community stand with us during this time. We need them. Continue to trust in us. We're here. We're all in this together, and we're going to be there for you in the future. Thanks.
Good. Yes. Director Colbert.
Yeah, before I make any comments, Mr. Conley is here from the Urban League. Would you like to say anything?
When this first happened, I was outraged, and I was outraged because I was focusing on where we've been and where we came from. The hurt that has happened in these last few days was hurt that the community experienced in the past, the administration experienced in the past, and the police department experienced in the past. And immediately, I wanted to come on board to say, no, we're not going to tolerate that from our community. We're not going to tolerate it from the police department. And that was before the truth came out. Now the truth has come out. And again, this is a national trend. When you talk about race, when you talk about these kind of issues, people are using that throughout this country. And here, we're saying in Warren, Ohio, and abroad, we're not going to handle it. We're not going to accept it. It is not going to be accepted. And I'm grateful for the procedures and the collaborations that we've had over the years in doing this. It is important that communication goes on, and it's important that we don't digress from this incident, but then not tolerating this incident and seeing how we can make things better.
Thank you. Not much that I can say to add on to what has already been said, other than from the standpoint of the administration, the police department. Once the information was brought to us, we did move swiftly and decisively to rectify this matter. First thing, when we were told of the charges that were being brought, I did direct Human Resources to start the process of the disciplinary hearing. That is all in motion now. The chief has alluded to, once he gets the proper paperwork, we will move to conclude that process of the disciplinary matter. The one thing that I think that I would just stress that at the end of the day, an individual did something to put a black eye not only on our police department but on our city as a whole. And what I'm proud of is that, as the mayor alluded to, the system worked. This was good cops standing up when a bad cop did something to slight the entire department. If not for the efforts of police officers, we would not be here today being able to uncover the truth of what truly happened on that night. So I'm grateful. I would express the thank you to the Howland Police Department from the criminal side and to the Warren City Police Department from the administrative side of this investigation, and being able to bring the truth to light. But as has been stated, myself, the mayor, the chief, the department, and our city as a whole plan to continue to move this forward with the community and specific agencies. Mr. Conley, Ms. Annette McCoy from NAACP. We have individuals representing A. Philip Randolph here because it is not lost on us the racial aspect of this. And that is one of the most disgusting parts of this, is the racial aspect that was used in this hoax. So as Mr. Conley had stated, this department, this city has come a long way in the last 20 years. And we will not allow this incident to push us back one iota in our efforts to continue to be partners with our community. So I want to thank those who have came. I want to thank the police departments from Howland as well as ours from everything they did. And from my aspect, from the mayor's aspect, we will continue to follow this through the disciplinary process, regardless of what the officer chooses to do, resignation or not. We will continue to follow through with the process.
And also, I just wanted to, on the record, to also thank Prosecutor Dennis Watkins for levying the charges against this individual as well. That went a long way, and we actually wanted to get out in front of this yesterday, but we were asked to hold off until everything was cleared. So we want to thank him for all of his diligent work and coming to the swift conclusion as well.
So you were aware yesterday that this was going to unfold the way it did?
Yes. Yes.
Is that immediately when you started taking actions to have him terminated?
Well, we were aware of the charges the night before. The chief did call me around 5:30 on Monday and made me aware that I believe that he gave a confession and that charges would be pending. I believe that at that point is where the first thing I did, which would have been yesterday morning at 8 o'clock when I came to the office, is I immediately had HR come to my office and told them to start the paperwork on the disciplinary matter. Regardless of what the officer's intentions were, we were going to, with the information that we were given from the investigation, felt that we had enough to go forward with starting that disciplinary action. And that was literally at 8 o'clock in the morning, the first thing that I did.
What does this mean for any case that Noah worked on? Because now you have to question his credibility because he made up something.
I think that's a question that's best answered by Chief Merkel.
But, I mean, it's obviously going to have to be on a case-by-case basis. That's something the law department's going to have to deal with on their level. I mean, we're not just going to flatly dismiss all his cases. I wouldn't think that would be appropriate, but certainly because he's on cases with other officers, that's going to be a determination that's going to need to be made by the law department on as each case comes in.
Obviously, you guys were just going by the description that he gave that night in trying to solve the case. But what do you say now to the people who were stopped or their places searched?
Well, like I said, I apologize to those people. At the time, we took what he said for truth. So we have to respond to that scene and do what we do as the police to try to, catch who may have left there and shot rounds at our police officer. So as you guys noticed through the week, there weren't a lot of details that came out of there. And I think as the chief from Howland alluded to, we kind of knew early on that this wasn't adding up. So we weren't, there's no memos that went out to our officers that said, hey, we're still looking for this. Start stopping all these SUVs. Yeah. It kind of ended that evening, so I apologize to anybody that was traffic stopped due to his lies, but we reacted as the police would to any other major incident.
Did he say why he did this? Was it for attention? Was it because he wanted some type of situation to unfold? What do you think induced this?
That I can't answer. You need to understand there was 3 investigations going on at the time. There was Howland was investigating the robbery portion of it. BCI is investigating the shooting portion of it. We started our administrative investigation soon after this happened. So we've only had a chance to interview him one time. We were scheduled to interview him again. In the meantime, Howland interviewed him, and that's when they got him to confess that he lied. So we never got that second interview with him to even discuss motive.
So when you're filing a termination paperwork, what are the disciplinary actions that you're taking? What are the disciplinary charges?
Well, without getting like too much into the weeds on it, the administrative investigation and the criminal have to remain separate. That's kind of why Dennis Watkins put the brakes on everything. So we have to get the affidavit that was filed in the Trumbull County Court, and we just, like I said, it was just emailed to us 20 minutes ago. So we'll use that as the basis for his, I think we have 7 charges, policy violations that we will charge him with, mostly based off of that affidavit.
What are those 7? Do you have them off the top of your head?
Violating state, federal law, I can't think of them off, yeah. The IA's putting those charges together, he sends them to me, I review them, and then I send him an official charge letter. You're being charged with these charges, and you're to be in a pre-disciplinary hearing on X date and time, which I'm hoping to be able to be by the end of the day. I've already been in contact with his OPBA rep, and I think their intention is to waive the hearing, so it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that he's going to be terminated.
So basically, he could be terminated by the end of the day.
Correct. We have to follow processes through that collective bargaining agreement.
Right.
As crazy as it sounds, we have an officer sitting with 3 felony charges at the county, but administratively, we need to go through these processes.
At the Howland News Conference, the police chief said something about, he talked about, he was worried if you found out that he had fired off his weapon, so he had to make up this story. Is that a logical way of thinking, though,
For a liar, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know what he was thinking out there. I don't know what the scenario, the true story that led up to him shooting, a weapon that we issued to him through his car door, and then everything that he came up with sprouted from there. So I don't know what his motive was for. But certainly any officer that's discharging their firearm that we issued to him, we're going to be investigating it. So he was probably concerned that he wasn't just going to drive home with 3 bullet holes in his car and we weren't going to find out about it.
You have the weapon now?
We don't have it. I think BCI has both his duty weapon and off-duty weapon, since they're investigating the shooting.
So there's obviously evidence in the case that is being brought against him, but he's not getting it back, basically, is what I'm asking.
He will never get that duty weapon back, no.
Like I said, it's the end of the day, the system work. It was disheartening when me and the director showed up, and also the law director at the emergency room the night of the alleged incident, and when race was injected. So that really just sticks in our craw, basically. It's something that I'm so glad that a lot of people around this room understand our hearts and where we are. We won't tolerate that. And that's in addition to just being untruthful. That's bad enough. And then when you throw that injection of race into it, Chief Merkel pointed out something that when we hired him, I believe it was Abraham Lincoln's birthday, and the case terminated on Martin Luther King's birthday and with the so-called confession. So that's the irony of the situation. But I'm proud of the work that was done. I have a lot of confidence in the people in this room, not just members of this administration, the Warren Police Department, but also the community stakeholders who you see around this table, to help us move to the next stage and make sure that our community understands that we're about our mission of protecting and serving with integrity. So, is that it?
Anything more from us?
Dismissing us.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.